On 31st October 1938, actor and screenwriter Orson Welles found himself at the centre of a media storm. The previous evening, Welles and his theatre company had performed an adaptation of H.G. Wells's novel The War of the Worlds on his radio show. Welles had creatively converted the novel into a series of fake news bulletins, describing a Martian invasion of New Jersey. But while a fictional news reporter choked on poison gas and imaginary Martians overpowered New York, confused listeners mistook the play's bulletins for live news reports, and widespread panic followed. While few people really believed Martians were attacking, many were convinced they were listening to reports of a German invasion, and their frightened phone calls to radio stations and newspaper offices convinced journalists that Orson Welles' show had caused nationwide hysteria. Welles woke the next morning to reports of chaos across the country, and angry listeners threatening to shoot him for causing such distress. What started out as a bit of creative fun turned into a nightmare for Welles. "If I'd planned to wreck my career," he said, "I couldn't have gone about it better." Welles had no idea beforehand what effect his words would have, and once he did, it was too late. Just imagine the sinking feeling as he became aware of the consequences of his mistake. His sense of guilt as he understood the hurt he had caused, the knot in the pit of his stomach as he anticipated the damage to his career prospects. They're familiar feelings, aren't they? While you or I may not have the influence to cause nationwide hysteria with our words, we all know what it's like to feel embarrassment, shame, or regret over speaking before thinking. How many times have you wished you had stayed silent in a meeting instead of saying something foolish or unhelpful? How many nights have you spent lying awake replaying an insensitive or hurtful response to a friend or family member's problems? It's easy to rush in with thoughtless or inappropriate words. It's much harder to undo the damage our hasty words may cause, to us as well as to our hearers. It doesn't have to be this way, though. The Apostle James writes, "The wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness." James chapter 3, verses 17 to 18. It is possible to learn to speak with wisdom from heaven that will impact our everyday conversations on earth, so that we speak wise words in a wise way that will reap a harvest of righteousness in the people around us. This is what we are going to focus on in this chapter. But if that feels a little out of reach, don't worry. James helps us understand why.